If your site isn't on Google's front page, you probably aren't getting too much traffic to your site, which means how are customers going to find you? There are a lot of elements to SEO, but the basics are straightforward. If you're trying to do it on your own, today Dorothy and I are going to give you all the knowledge to get started. Welcome to our live broadcast, my friends. I am Candice Tyler, your host, and today I am joined by my returning guest and boss, Dorothy Walden, who is our Director of Agency Marketing. Dorothy is incredibly talented when it comes to all aspects of digital marketing. So thank you, Dorothy, for taking the time to be here with us.
Well, thank you, Candice, and I'm happy to be here again on Facebook Live.
Alrighty, so SEO or search engine optimization. It's improving your website to gain an audience through the SERP or search engine result page. But do you pay for SEO?
Great question. SEO is essentially a variety of tactics to get traffic to your website without having to pay for that traffic. Now, that doesn't mean SEO is totally free, because if you're working with an SEO expert or a content writer, of course, you have to pay them for their time. But the traffic you earn from implementing SEO does not cost you a dime. And good SEO is like that gift that keeps on giving, because the efforts can continue to bring you traffic for years to come.
Awesome. Next, let's talk about keywords. These are unique search terms that customers use to find your products and services. But when a business owner is selecting keywords, do you have any do's and don'ts that they should keep in mind?
Yeah, definitely a few more do's and don'ts. Keywords are the foundation of SEO, and it's important to find the main phrases that customers use to search for your products and service. In the early days of the internet, many companies shoved a bunch of keywords on a page, and that was called keyword stuffing. And that practice is not acceptable today, and you will be penalized by the search engines if you do that. So you'll want to use keywords minimally and strategically. One recommendation is to have no more than 5 keywords or phrases for each page on your site. But before you create any page on your site, you'll want to determine what the keyword focus is.
Now, I know there is a balance between competitive keywords that are in high demand, and then there are the keywords that are on the other side of the spectrum. What would you suggest for business owners when they're trying to select that happy medium?
Right. So, first, you want to brainstorm keywords based on how you think customers would search for your products and services. Second, look for keywords that you're already ranking for. That's kind of the low hanging fruit. And then next, check out what your competitors are ranking for. Then you can use those keywords in the Google Keyword Planner. It's a free tool. And that can help you generate additional keyword ideas based on that original set of keywords that you use. And it will help you find the opportunities. So once you have that list of keywords, there's some metrics that the Keyword Planner provides where you can focus on the search volume and the keyword difficulty. So the search volume is how often that keyword is used for search. And you want to choose keywords that draw traffic, right? And then, of course, these keywords are also probably really high in demand, so it can be harder to rank for them. That's where you want to use the keyword difficulty metric. So that's the KD, and it shows you how competitive that keyword is. So you're going to want to choose keywords that are in demand but are not highly competitive if possible.
Now, keywords are not the only piece to this puzzle. You
Yeah.
also need new content to go around these keywords. Fresh content can help you get noticed by search engines to rank higher, but it can take time. What should viewers keep in mind when they are creating content?
Okay. So first I'm going to tell you what the Google company mission is. It's their mission is to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. So it's important to know this because people mistakenly use Google as a marketing platform, and it is not. It is an indexing. They are just indexing all the information that's out there in the World Wide Web. And that is why content on your website is so vitally important. With that said, creating content isn't only about using keywords to attract the search bots. Content should be persuasive and relevant to your consumer. Content can position your business as an expert in the industry. And when search engines find your content relevant, you'll begin to show up at the top. And once you start ranking higher, guess what? You got to keep creating the content to maintain that place. And creating new content to target new keywords needs to be kind of a part of your ongoing long-term strategy. Content always helps brands in a lot of different ways: brand awareness, creating trust, driving leads, helping retain current customers. Content wears many hats in your marketing mix. So here are a couple of things to keep in mind when you're creating content. First, content comes in a lot of forms: video, photo, blogs, landing pages, podcasts, infographics. So think outside the box. Make your content easy to read. Instead of walls of text, use headers and lists and images to break up the copy and highlight important information. And then, make sure you're simplifying the actual language that you use. You could have a technical company or even an attorney say, don't use a lot of legal jargon in your blogs or any content you have on your website. You want to keep it really as simple language as possible. And you want to look for business potential, right? So use the keyword research that you developed to then actually create the content that's going to drive traffic to your website. And don't forget to create content that also meets customers who are in different points in your sales journey. Not everyone is ready to make a purchase, but you can engage with them so that when they are ready, they do come back to your site.
Now, keywords and content are not the end all be all to SEO. The O in SEO stands for optimization, meaning you want to ensure that all of the little back end components are operating as they should be. Some other elements that determine your search engine ranking success are title tags and meta descriptions. Can you give our business owners some background information on title tags and meta descriptions so that they can be successful?
Yeah, sure thing, Candice. Ranking on keywords, as Candice mentioned, it is only part of the equation. Even if you rank on the first page, you need to get that user to click through, right? So title tags are that clickable part of the headline on the Google result. The meta descriptions, or also called a meta tag, is the element that describes the page. These two elements should make the user want to click through to read your content. Keep these elements within the recommended lengths as well. So a title tag is usually 50 to 60 characters, and then Google will cut off your meta description around 150 to 160 characters. Make sure you're using the keywords in those descriptions if possible. And this also lets your users know that your page is relevant to their search. And you'll also want to use words that, evoke some emotion, or use power words that will make somebody click. Just make sure that your content delivers. Every page on your website needs its own title tag and its own meta title, and you want to focus on enticing the user to click through. Don't overuse keywords in the meta elements. Include only relevant information to your users. If you're showing up at the top, then you want to make sure that you have enticing content there that'll make them click through.
Now, URL also plays a part in your success online, but the part I want to focus on is the subdirectory. That's the
Mm-hmm.
part that comes after the slash. Can
Yeah.
you describe why this is important?
Yes. It's a descriptive URL, and it's important to both Google and the searcher. So the URL is the location of your website, right? And it looks a lot like this URL we're going to toss up here. There you go. So from this URL, you can determine the company is BizIQ. And then the part that comes after the slash describes what's on the page. So it's easy to deduce that this page is an About Us page. The user can easily see what the page is about and is more likely to click if they're looking for information about the company. Now, keep the URL information informative and short. It should describe the content and even have a keyword.
Now, in our industry, I hear a lot about backlinks and internal links, but for right now, we're just going to focus on internal links. I know that they help keep customers engaged, but do they have any other uses?
They do. And I'm glad we're holding the backlinks for another Facebook Live because that's a whole one in itself.
Exactly.
Internal links are important because internal links between internally link your pages. So that makes it also like a sitemap for search engines to crawl your pages, and it can see like the authority of your pages. So that's super important. Users um, they'll use your internal links on your site. So I'm sure you've all been reading a blog, and there's always a link in a word that kind of connects you to another blog, and then you go down that rabbit hole and you keep reading. It's exactly what you want to happen on your site. Internal links help keep users engaged on your site, which search engines use that information to rank the relevancy of your site. So it all plays hand in hand.
Next, you'll want to be seeing under the hood of your website and find out precisely what's holding your website back from ranking. Google is all about their users' experience, and they do want it to be a good one. What issues can business owners expect to be holding back their site?
So this is, I see a lot. Business owners tend to overlook some technical issues on their site. They either don't know they exist and or they don't know how to fix them. So some examples could be broken links or pages that take too long to load, but there are many other types of errors. I recommend that you do a search of your own website. Just go into Google and type in your company name without the .com, right? So you can see if it comes up in the search. If you aren't showing up, you could have some real technical problems. There are some free tools, like a site audit tool that helps you find the problems. It'll tell you if you have broken links or slow page loads. A free one of them is called semrush.com. I think we're going to provide it here. Yeah. And this will give you up to 100 pages of a free site audit. Now, we at BizIQ are also happy to spend 30 minutes with any business owner to analyze your website and see where your technical issues are. This is a free service that we provide to small businesses.
Now, what about social media and search engine profiles? Do they boost your SEO at all?
So, although social media links won't directly affect your search engine optimization efforts, it can drive traffic to your site. And the increased traffic does boost your SEO because Google will see your website as more relevant. You hear this word relevant. I've said it about 500 times already. Social media sites and local search opportunities can provide ways for customers to leave reviews, which are also going to help boost your site. And customer reviews are, they're like gold these days, right? So if you don't have any customer reviews, you're going to want to start working on getting them. And you can use social media also to link to blog posts, provide information that will engage, right, with your users. It's just another element of search engine optimization and another way to get traffic to your website.
Now, we all know about Google and Yelp, but what are some other good social engine, or not social engine, search engine profiles that our viewers should consider?
Right. So listing directories. They could depend on the kind of business you have. So other than Google and Yelp, there are well over 100 listing directories. A few of them, Facebook is one, Bing, Yahoo, City Search, Manta, Merchant Circle, MapQuest, City Slick, Local.com. You get where I'm going. There's a lot. um, and then depending on your kind of business you have, like if you're a home services provider, you might also want to be on Angie's List or House or My Guy Referrals. And then service-based business industry, service-based businesses, excuse me, might also want to consider some others, Biznic and Alignable and other directories that are associated specifically with your type of business. And we know there are a lot. We get it. There's a lot of directories out there, and it's hard to keep track of all of them, making sure that everything is accurate. And we do offer listing management services, and anyone who needs support in managing them should, give us a call.
Now, security is a top priority for Google, so much so that they are now using security as part of their ranking factors. How do business owners know if their site is secure?
Cool. Great question. So, having a secure site is essential to your ranking. And according to Google as well. So, your current site has to have the little um, padlock. So it's pretty easy to find. So you look at your browser and where your URL is, and if you look in the right next to the URL, there's a little padlock, and that means your site is encrypted and it's secure. Otherwise, it's going to say not secure. And even if you aren't selling anything or you're asking customers for information, you need to make sure that your site is using the HTTPS, right? And if you aren't already using that, here's a link to a guide, and it'll kind of walk you through the process. It's like a step-by-step guide to making your site secure. So drop that.
Interesting. Yep,
Mm-hmm.
it's already in there. Now, I know that SEO is a long term process, so you do want to monitor your results to make minor tweaks during the campaign progresses. Dorothy, what are some analytic markers business owners should keep a watchful eye on during this change?
Okay, so first you want to make sure that you have Google Analytics installed on your site so that you can track it. GA is a free tool and it gives you a ton of data so you can see how your search engine optimization is doing. The the best is that you see an upward trend over time, right? And you can find out which pages on your site are the most popular as well. So some of the markers or data points that you should pay attention to, you want to look at the search terms, right, that people are using to find your site. Are those the search terms that you've been using? GA will also let you see how fast your site loads and which devices people are searching from. So you can use this information to build new content to meet those search intents. And if you aren't seeing an increase in your page views over a few weeks, when you are actively working on your SEO, you might need to tweak your strategy. So the data is really insightful and it'll help guide you on what your next steps should be. You can also set up different landing pages. So that would be something you would want to watch to see how they're performing. And you could look at the traffic, where it's coming from. Maybe it's by location, or you can use the data to see which landing page is converting the most sales. This is just all the awesome information that you can get from Google Analytics. You can also see where people are leaving your website, your exit pages. And these pages are visited just before somebody leaves your site. And so it's important for you to figure out, well, what could I do on that page to help keep them on the site? You might need to make him more relevant, right? Lots and lots of data. We could go on for days. And I will say that I know maybe monitoring your site seems a little nerdy, but it is all about the data, and it can really tell you a lot about how your site and where you're getting your audience. And this is where you can learn if your SEO efforts are really paying off.
Now, before we wrap up here, Dorothy, will you please give our viewers one final SEO pro tip, please?
Okay. All right. So one last tip. All right, you might be thinking this all sounds very time consuming and complicated, and it can be. And you might want to consider hiring somebody to help you. But my last tip is going to be that even if you do that, make sure that you understand the basics so that you can have productive conversations with the SEO team that you hire. That way you have a true understanding of what they're doing and how those results are affecting your website, but in the end how it's affecting, your leads and your revenue, right?
Mhm. And with that, this week's episode is a wrap. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out, and you can leave them in the comments section or send us a DM, and we would be happy to continue the conversation. Thanks, Dorothy, for your time today.
Of course, anytime.
And thank you, our viewers, for tuning in. I hope you all have a lovely weekend, and I will see you next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.